Tonight, Senator Darlene Graham wins the Republican nomination for the U.S. Senate seat left vacant by the death of her brother, Lindsey Graham.
And now the race moves to November, where South Carolina is guaranteed to elect its first woman to the U.S. Senate.
The watch party has wrapped up here in Columbia, with Senator Darline Graham leaving with the nomination to fill the U.S. Senate seat left vacant by the death of her brother, Lindsey Graham. And now the race moves to November, with Senator Darline Graham facing Dr. Annie Andrews. And any way it goes, that's set to elect the first female senator here in South Carolina.
South Carolina Republicans, I humbly accept your nomination to serve as the Republican nominee for the United States from the great state of South Carolina.
Darlene Graham claiming the Republican nomination Tuesday night after a 6-week sprint to take over the U.S. Senate seat held by her late brother, Lindsey Graham, a campaign she says unfolded with her family still grieving his death.
The past few weeks have been an unbelievably challenging time for our family, but you know what? We did it! I have mixed emotions right now. I'm still feeling grief, heartache, and immense gratitude. So thank you all again.
But tonight's win is only one step in this special election. Graham now moves on to face Democrat Annie Andrews in November. And with 2 women on the ballot, South Carolina is guaranteed to elect a woman to the U.S. Senate for the first time. For Graham's family, the nomination comes at the end of what her husband Larry describes as an intense 6 weeks.
It's been an amazing 6 weeks. We've packed basically 10 years of life in 6 weeks. She is the strongest woman I've ever met. She will fight every day for the true South Carolinians, and we look forward to the next journey.
And that journey begins almost immediately, with Graham telling supporters this Republican victory is not the end of the campaign, as she turns her attention to Andrews and November. But before looking ahead, Graham used part of her victory speech to reflect on the brother who held this seat before her.
We lost a giant in Lindsey. We've grieved as a family, and we've all grieved together as a state, haven't we? But tonight, you know what? We stand back up the way South Carolinians have done and look forward to the future.
And Graham says there's little time to slow down, telling her supporters that she's already started working on her general election campaign. She says this win is the start, not the finish line for this election. In Columbia, Kiki Gashu, News 19, WLTX.
Kiki, thank you so much. And just a short time ago, 5th District Congressman Ralph Norman conceded to the race. Have a listen.
I hate it for the state. I really hate it for the state. I don't hate it for me. I don't hate it for the family. We're going to be fine. But we did this for service, and I hate it for the state. But South Carolina made their decision, so I will support her as Darlene as best I can.
So that race is now set. It's Senator Graham taking on Democratic nominee Dr. Annie Andrews in November. Tonight, Andrews is questioning Graham's qualifications for the job.
Her comment about national security not being her thing really, to me, just epitomizes her lack of preparedness for this role. You know, national security is a critical issue that any U.S. senator should be prepared to discuss, particularly our relationship with our Democratic allies across the globe, including those in the Ukraine and in Taiwan. This is a very important relationship that we need serious people having these conversations in Washington, D.C., especially when we're in the middle of this deeply unpopular, illegal, unnecessary billion-dollar-a-day war with Iran, and she's up on the debate stage asking for a 6-year term in the U.S. Senate, not knowing anything about national security. My view is we need to support South Carolina's active duty service members, military families, and veterans rather than engaging in irresponsible wars overseas. There's over 400,000 veterans here in South Carolina. They deserve a senator who has respect for the work that they've done, the lives that they've put on the line to fight for America's national security.
Our panel was also in the studio all night long sharing their analysis. Listen now to what they had to say about Graham's speech tonight and a look ahead to November.
Well, we talked about when does the actual general election campaign. I said, I think with the speech, I think we just saw it. There was not much subtle about that. We saw a forceful speech coming out and highlighting the contrast that she saw, that Senator Graham sees right out of the gate. And I think they're off to the races, literally. Yeah.
You know, one thing we've seen with Darlene Graham is, you know, this is a woman that 40 days ago lost her brother, grieving, gets thrown into a world of politics, and she has proven herself to be quite the tough woman and a real fighter. We saw that in the debates with the punches she threw with Ralph Norman, and then tonight, again, we saw a tough woman that is willing to fight. It's going to be an interesting 60 days, 75 days to the general election, and the voters better get ready.
If you had to wrap up the night in just a few sentences, Shannon, what would you say?
I would say literally the establishment gets behind her, physically, figuratively. President Trump got his endorsement in, and it really put wind in her sails, and there's not a lot to attack her on. She doesn't have much of a record, but we'll see how she did a fairly clear job right there, placing herself where she feels like she needs to be in line with South Carolina voters, and so we'll see how she goes forward.
Well, it's a big win for the establishment tonight. Again, Ralph Norman said, this is establishment, or I'm against the establishment. Obviously, it's a big night for President Trump, and it's the biggest night for Darlene Graham. She's clearly ready to keep on with the fight to November, and I think we're all, I'll have my popcorn out to watch the fireworks.
And in case you missed tonight's extended coverage, you can watch it now on our WLTX app. You can scan the QR code on your screen to download the app right to your phone or TV. It's absolutely free.